Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd, we continue with our daily lessons as we come to the section today that is entitled Usulul Iman, the foundations of Iman or the foundations of faith. Allah the Exalted, He has stated, لَيْسَ الْبِرِّ إن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين. Piety is not that you turn your faces to the east and the west, but rather piety is to have Iman. Piety is to have faith in Allah, the last day, the angels, the books, and the prophets. And on the authority of Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, as he has stated, we were sitting with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day when a man entered upon us who had an exceedingly white garment on and had exceedingly black hair. And we saw no signs of travel upon him, yet none of us recognized him. And he came forward until he sat with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he placed his knees upon his knees, and he placed his hands upon his thighs. And he said, "O Muhammad, inform me about Islam." So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he responds to him and he states, Al-Islam is to testify that La ilaha illallah, that none has right to be worshipped except Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, to establish the prayer, to pay the zakah, to fast the month of Ramadan, and to perform hajj to the house if you have the ability to do so. He then responded to him and he said, Sadaqt, you have spoken the truth. And we were amazed by this, that he will be asking him a question and then telling him that he's right. So he then says, inform me about Iman. Inform me about faith, spirituality. So he then says, it is to have Iman, to have faith in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the last day, and in Al-Qadr, and in fate, the good and the bad thereof. And he states to him, Sadaqta, you have spoken the truth. He then states, inform me about ihsan. Inform me about beauty, excellence in worship. So he says, it is to worship Allah as though you see Him. And if you cannot see Him, then you know that He indeed does see you. He then says, inform me about the hour, meaning the final hour, the last day. And he says, the one that is being asked about this does not have more knowledge about this than the questioner. He then says, well, then inform me about its signs. So he says, when the maidservant gives birth to her owner, and when you see the barefooted poor shepherds competing with one another in the construction of tall buildings. And thereafter he departed. And I remained for a period of time. And then he said to me, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Umar, do you know who the questioner was? I said, Allah and His Messenger know better. He said, that was Jibreel, and he came to you all to teach you all your religion, your deen, collected by Muslim. Asharh, the explanation. Iman has usul. Iman has foundations, faith, spirituality, has a grounding to it. And all of faith cannot be built except upon this foundation. And Jibreel, alayhi salam, he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam these questions in order to teach the ummah, in order to teach Muslim civilization, so that they can memorize the foundations of faith and safeguard and preserve them. And these foundations of faith, they are 6, and they are the ones that are mentioned within this tremendous prophetic tradition. Al-Fawaid, points of benefit from the section. Firstly, Eman, faith, it has 6 pillars. And faith cannot truly be built and grow, and it cannot truly grow except upon this foundation. And these pillars, meaning the 6 pillars of Eman, the 6 pillars of faith, they are to have Eman in Allah, to believe in Allah, to have Eman in the angels, to believe in the angels, to have Eman in the books, to have Eman in the messengers, to have Eman in the last day, and to have Eman in the Qadr, to have Eman in fate. Thirdly and lastly, whoever denies, disbelieves in any one of these 6 pillars of faith, then such an individual is a kafir. Such an individual has disbelieved in Eman and has disbelieved in Islam. In our next sitting, we will move on to our next section, inshallah ta'ala. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.